Looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Bounce it!
Is this the dagger?
Blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection!
Alright, what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to the Just Ballin' channel, and today I'm going to be doing something very fun. I want to be doing a 2-round, basically a full 2025 NBA mock draft. I'm kind of struggling to figure out what I want to put on this channel. I think for some time I was doing some podcasts. Obviously, you guys got the full glimpse of that. I think this will also be an audio podcast as well if you guys are listening on Apple or just any of the audio platforms. And then I started to do more NBA breakdown videos, trying to find a niche on this channel, more so where it's different from my Sauce channel, where those are, I think, more just dedicated topics, stuff that I really want to talk about that I'm planning a couple days over time. Here, I think I kind of just want to do whatever I want, basically, and this is going to be a fun NBA channel to talk hoops, where we can talk the NBA draft a ton, which you guys know that I just absolutely love, and I've really found a love for the scouting process and the NBA draft and just everything that goes into it over the last few years. This could be any trade topics, this could be any storylines, any reactions, stuff like that. So that's pretty much what this channel is going to become. I know it's been kind of inconsistent on this channel as of late, but I think it's going to be more just kind of sit down talking with you guys. The videos could be 10 minutes, they could be 20 minutes, they could be 40 minutes. And I think they're all going to be still in podcast formats over on my audio platforms if you guys want to listen to this. So yeah, today we're doing a 2-round mock draft. I haven't done one yet for the 2025 draft. I did upload a mock draft on my Sauce channel. It was a full first round one. And that was basically going Dylan Harper number 1, Cooper Flagg dropping, which I think it's been a debate this year. Cooper Flagg is my number 1 prospect in this draft. I will be doing a top 30 prospect video on my Sauce channel soon, so make sure you are subscribed to that. I'm sure you are if you're on this. But yeah, I still think Cooper Flagg goes 1. I don't know if I'm going to have a mocked one today because we're going to do a lottery simulation. And then we're in kind of a period right now where I dropped that mock. I'm not going to have any mocks, at least on that Sauce channel, until after the trade deadline. So this is where I think I can kind of get my mock fix, basically, and do one here. So yeah, we are going to create a lottery simulation. Shout out to No Ceilings, good NBA draft outlet, like Draft Sickos, basically, which I love. And they have, I guess, maybe a partnership or something with Fanspo, so we're going to be using their big board today. So yeah, let's do a lottery simulation. Hopefully this, yeah. All right, so let's do this lottery. Let's see. Probably the Wizards are going to get messed up or screwed up here. So the Pistons, 12th overall pick. All right, so I guess, yeah, they fall out of the play-in tournament spot here. Rockets at 11. That is going to be from Philly, or excuse me, from Phoenix. We're going to have Utah at 13 from Minnesota. You're going to have OKC at 10 via Philly. 9 Brooklyn. Ooh, yeah. I mean, they're going to be free falling over time. You got Utah at 8. Oh, they fall 3 spots as well. You got Toronto at 7. You got Charlotte at 6. You got Washington falls from 1 to 5. Brutal. Shout out to Chicago going up to 4. Portland going up to 3. They move up 3 spots. Chicago move up 6 spots to 4. Sacramento goes up 9 spots to the 2nd overall pick. Oh yeah, this is going to be fun. And then New Orleans goes up 1 spot to the number 1 overall pick. So yeah, we're going to use this in the mock draft. I'm excited to get this started. We are going to be doing the full draft. I'll use the No Ceilings big board here. So the number 1 overall pick, we have the New Orleans Pelicans, man. This team is an absolute mess this year. Brandon Ingram, I mean, is he going to get traded? Is he not? He is a free agent at the end of the year. Zion Williamson has not come back yet from his injury. CJ McCollum has been balling out lately. Maybe he's going to have some trade value in the open market. DeJounte Murray's been playing a little bit better as of late as well. This is a weird team, but honestly, this is like Memphis Grizzlies 2.0 if this happens. Like, this team wanted to make the playoffs this year, and now they're going to be picking number 1 overall, at least in this mock draft. Hey, that's not a bad retool year. We'll see if they re-sign Brandon Ingram. I would think about it, because you're New Orleans, you're not a big free agency destination. You're going to have the CJ McCollum money off the book soon. Yeah, Trey Murphy and Herb Jones's extensions have kicked in or about to kick in, but I don't know. I would try to go and re-sign Ingram, and I think he's still young enough. He's in his prime. He's still a very good playmaker, very good scorer, where you could still trade him if it doesn't work out. Now, it's easier said than done. Like, paying Brandon Ingram $50 million is a ton of money, and maybe that handicaps you over time, but I think you just try to see what you could do there. I think you re-sign him, and then you view this year as a blessing in disguise, because then you can add I like the idea of Dylan Harper to this team. I really do. But I think what Cooper Flagg could provide you with or without Brandon Ingram is a no-brainer for this team because he improves your defense. Him and Herb Jones could be a ton of fun. And I think Cooper Flagg could run into some struggles if you're relying on him so much offensively. Like if he goes to Utah and they trade Markkanen, he goes to Portland, he goes to Washington, I think his shot is going to come over time, and I don't think he's going to be a good three-point shooter from day one. He struggled from three this year, and he's struggling at Duke, but he's had some very good performances where he could score inside, he could score in the post, he could score off the dribble. He is also a number one prospect because of his defense, and I think he could be a good connecting piece here. I think it gives you a plan B in a way for Brandon Ingram or Zion if they don't work out long term, but either way, you got Cooper Flagg, who could be the staple of your team. It's funny, him and Zion both went number one overall to Duke, and I think you still take him here. I like the idea of Dylan Harper, but I wonder about Dylan Harper and McCollum in the backcourt. I could see the appeal because Dylan Harper could be a score-first guy right away, and he could play the two. He's got the size. I think he could be fine enough defensively there. But I'm going to go Cooper Flagg number one, which now makes things interesting for Sacramento at number two. And maybe it doesn't, maybe it does, because I think what I'm excited about Dylan Harper as a prospect, he's a true combo guard. He's 6'5", 6'6". He can pass the ball. He's a very good playmaker in the half court. He's a good rebounder, and he's a very good scorer, man. His dribble moves, his dribble package right now, phenomenal for somebody that's a freshman at Rutgers. He's had some triple-double games this year for Rutgers. He's had some double-digit assist games, and he's had some games where he's scored 20, 25, 30-plus points per game. So, yeah, I think Sacramento, if they were to get lucky here, also maybe another blessing in disguise. Now, he doesn't fit a timeline with DeMar DeRozan, and Sabonis is getting older, but I could get excited about a Dylan Harper, De'Aaron Fox backcourt, because yes, I think Harper needs to have the ball in his hands, same with Fox, but I think it's something you could try to make work over there, and I think, yeah, Cooper Flagg would be very exciting in Sacramento, but I think they got to figure out what's going on with Keegan Murray, and I think you go Harper over Ace Bailey, because I wonder how Ace Bailey would be there. Now, I think Portland, they take Ace Bailey. Portland goes 3 here. Ace Bailey is still my number 3 prospect, even though I'm really loving Kasparas Jakushonis as of late. He's been a joy to watch at Illinois and Trey Johnson at Texas, but I think Ace Bailey is kind of what Portland needs. I know their fans don't want them to take another guard just because you have Sharp, Simons, and Scoot right now. I don't think Simons is going to be on this team much longer, but I think Ace Bailey could play adjacent to Scoot, or excuse me, adjacent to Sharp. You bump Sharp down to the 2, Scoot at the 1, Ace at the 3, maybe Denny at the 4, and then Clingan at the 5, and we are running with a very fun team, hopefully under a new head coach next year. Ace Bailey needs to work on his court vision, his playmaking. He had a 39-point performance where he had 0 assists. Now, he had a couple potential assists, but his teammates aren't very good finishers, especially at the rim. But I do think that is a glaring hole in Bailey's game, and I think Portland, though, would be a good spot for him. He's going to get a ton of shots. He's going to get, hopefully, a new head coach. And I think he does have the potential to be a fine enough defender in this league. And I think Portland doesn't need to take another center. They have Clingan and Aiden under contract. They do not need another guard. Let's get some forwards. And I think Bailey could be a nice option for them. So here we are at number 4 with the Bulls. And somebody that I'm loving, that is becoming my 4th overall player in this draft, is Kasparas Jakushonis. Now, you might be like, all right, they have Giddey, who's a free agent. You have Kobe White. You have Ayo Dosunmu. Like, you have plenty of guards, but Jakushonis is 6'6". I think he's like definitely a real 6'6", and he's very twitchy. He's shifty. He can honestly beat a ton of guys off the dribble, but he can be a good connecting piece. I think over his like last 8-9 games, I tweeted about this. He's shooting like 48% from 3. He's been incredibly efficient. He's a good shooter. You could worry about some defensive things, but I think Chicago, who needs to go in a much-needed rebuild. I don't know who their coach is going to be next year. You can get Jakushonis, who could be your point guard, but he can also be, I think, a playmaking wing, which could be very huge, and maybe he's going to transition into a different role in the NBA. And then you have, I think, a fun wing duo, or just a fun young duo of him and Matas Buzelis, who you took in the lottery last year. And yeah, you could go big man here, but I think it's a little high to take like a Kamal Maluach at 4, just talent-wise, when you should be going best player available if you're Chicago, and they could end up getting Jakushonis, maybe move on from Giddey in the offseason. Even if you bring back Giddey, it's not the worst idea just to have some really good playmakers that will swing the rock, and you can kind of go all in into like a ball movement phase into next year with hopefully LaVine and Nikola Vucevic off the team. So that leaves us Washington at number 5, kind of a brutal spot for them, just to fall 4 spots here. But I think out of all these guys that I think could be potential at number 5, you could have VJ Edgecombe, who does everything well besides like kind of scoring this year. He's an incredible defender, incredible athlete. I think could be like an Amen Thompson, a Sor Thompson type mold. You have Igor Demon, who got off to a great start this year against lackluster competition and has struggled since they've been playing a little bit more competitive teams, and now Big 12 play is starting up. I think they go Trey Johnson here. I think the shooting guard spot is wide open there in Washington. I think Bub isn't like somebody that would take away minutes or deter you or steer you away from drafting a Trey Johnson. I think Bilal Coulibaly is someone that has a ton of potential at 20 years old. Alex Sarr's been playing great as well after a slow start with his efficiency. And I think Trey Johnson can provide you someone that has a great mid-range jumper, can finish at the rim, can be a good three-point shooter. Maybe you'd like for him to do a couple other things, but I think Washington needs a score-first guy that could do it efficiently. And I don't think Edgecombe, who could be more of like a complementary piece right now, isn't the guy that, like, I think his efficiency would be brutal again at Washington. And I think Trey Johnson is a good pick here. Now, I kind of like how this top 5 started. You go Cooper Flagg to New Orleans, Dylan Harper to Sacramento. That's just a fun idea. I mean, who would have thought New Orleans, Sacramento preseason would be even in these talks? You have Ace at 3 to Portland. You have Kasperi Shakuchonis 4 to Chicago. And Washington gets Trey Johnson at 5. All right, so next up at number 6, we have the Charlotte Hornets falling a little bit in this mock. They've been one of the worst teams in the league this year. I think this is where we can go VJ Edgecombe, because I think he could be a good complementary piece to LaMelo Ball in the backcourt. We don't need him to take 20 shots a night. That's what Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball are going to be doing. And I think Edgecombe allows you to basically just be somebody that can be a great off-ball defender for LaMelo and Miller. He can play make a little bit. He can go up and crash the offensive glass, and I think just brings more athleticism there to Charlotte. They took a big project in Tidjane Salaün last year. I don't know if I want to go project play. I don't know if Igor Demon fits well in the Charlotte Hornets offense under Charles Lee. I would be skeptical about that pick, but I think you're getting a good athlete, a good defender, and that's what we need, defense in Charlotte. So I like that pick a little bit more than what Igor Demon would be. So at number 7, I think this could be a center pick if we do see basically Jakob Poeltl get traded. This could be Kamal Maluach. This could be Derek Queen. I think I would go Igor Demon here, though, just because I think it gives Toronto some flexibility. I don't love this fit, but I do think they would go best player available, because you got Quickly, you got RJ, you got Dick, you got Barnes. You have plenty of talent there, and then some good complementary pieces that have shown this year with Agbaji and Mogbo and Shed. And I think Demon, he is dropping right now on my big board, but I think he gives them a little bit more flexibility. You're not taking a true point guard. You're not taking a true center. You could take somebody that can play multiple positions, that doesn't need to be super reliable with his shot, or at least with his ball handling, because you can delegate that to basically Scotty Barnes or Barrett or Quickly. He can now work on a shot. I think he could work on not being as stiff with the ball in his hands. I don't know if that athleticism will come, but I think he's going to be somebody that could slow down the offense, play make, and be maybe a true point guard, bump Quickly to the 2, and then you can now have like a different style of offense, a hybrid style offense with Igor Demon there. So at number 8, we get Utah. Oh man, I do not hope they are picking at number 8 on draft night. So there's a couple guys that I do like here, potential-wise. Like I do like Kon Knipple, but man, taking, I think, a complimentary piece there at 8 is brutal for Utah going into this year. I mean, you like Derek Queen, you like Kamal Maluach, but I don't know what they're doing with Walker Kessler. Maybe if they do trade him, they go center here. Maybe Ben Seraph has some potential or upside. I like Asanua, but I don't know if I really like them taking another power forward. So I think I'm looking at one of the point guards. I'm looking at Jeremiah Fears out of Oklahoma, and I'm looking at Boogie Fland out of Arkansas. I think Nolan Traore has dropped out of guard 1 or guard 2 talks from his play this year at St. Quentin. He's, I think, more like LeBaron Philon basically over there in Alabama, or Jace Richardson, or some of those other guards. So I think it's pretty much who do you like better between Boogie Fland and Jeremiah Fears, and I think you can now run some good backcourts between them. I like Fland a little bit more than Fears because I think he's just a little bit better of a shooter, but I think him and Keontae George could be a very fun backcourt that can complement each other. I'd rather Keontae George transition into more of a less usage, more combo guard role. Somebody that's not operating this offense, that could be Boogie Fland, because I don't know if it's going to be Isaiah Collier, and Keontae George can now work on maybe his score first aspects and just take higher quality shots, because he has been playing better as of late. I don't know if he's still a true point guard, but I think Boogie Fland could be an option for that team going forward. Brooklyn here at 9, you're going best player available. I still don't know if I would like them taking like a Lee McNeely. I don't mind Asanua, but I like what I've seen from Noah Clowney. Honestly, this team could use a point guard as well. I'm going to have them go Jeremiah Fears. Not as efficient with this three-point shot, but this man can score off the dribble, and I think could transition into basically being their franchise point guard. He's got good size, good ball handling ability, good court vision, good athleticism. He knocks off or checks off a ton of boxes. I would have liked to see the three-point shot be a little bit more consistent over the course of Big or SEC play. Wow, almost said Big 12 for Oklahoma, but yeah, SEC play. And yeah, I'm going to have Jeremiah Fears go 9 to the Brooklyn Nets. So now we're on the clock at 10 with OKC. Now this is where we can get complimentary, right? There's a ton of guys that I'd like here. Colin Murray Boyles for some defense. But I think as guys come and go, I think we can get some good shooters here. And I like Kon Knipple's upside for this team because he, I think, has a little bit higher defensive upside than Liam McNeely. And I think his shot has been up and down, but the shot looks really good. We've seen it be consistent for a long, long time, especially what he was pre-Duke in high school. And I think he could be a fun, like, lanky wing that could be just somebody that you develop over time. And he's going to get some really good looks. They have Casey Wallace for defense, who struggled with his shot this year. They have, like, Kenrich Williams, who I think is an underrated defender. And yes, you have Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins. But, like, the Thunder as a whole are not really an elite three-point shooting team. So I think Con Knippel can get you on that track. Rockets at 11. I think a team that could also use some shooting as well. And I think that's where I'm going to have Liam McNeely go. Just a very good shooter at UConn this year. I don't think Houston, I mean, you're in this pick from the Suns. Like, it's only 2 picks behind that Nets pick. And then we were like, why did they make that trade? Obviously, things can change a lot between now and the draft lottery. But yeah, you get Liam McNeely, helps you out with your shooting. And I think him and Shepherd off the bench could be something exciting. But who knows? Maybe this pick is going to be an eventual asset in a KD or Devin Booker trade down the line. But I like Liam McNeely and Con Knippel going to those Western Conference teams. So at 12, we have Detroit. I feel like Detroit would be better than this. Maybe this is just kind of like where the standings were when I started this. But yeah, I think Detroit could go a bunch of options. I kind of like them going big. I kind of like Asa Newell there because I think he provides a lot of offensive upside. And the pick and roll with him and Cade could be fun because he's super athletic. Maybe not as good of a rebounder right now that you would like. But I think they got to figure out, I mean, I don't know if there's like a true shot creator that you can go with here that isn't super high variance. And I think I'd rather go a safe pick for Detroit because I think there could be a trade for them in the future if they wanted to maybe go after Brandon Ingram or Cam Johnson. They have questions with Jalen Duren. Is he your franchise center? So I could totally see the appeal of Derek Queen. I'm struggling, I think, right now to come up with a clear, concise order with Kaman Maluach, Asa Newell, and Derek Queen. And I think Newell can allow you to play. He can play out there with Jalen Duren, and I think he can play out there with Isaiah Stewart. So it gives you some flexibility and gives you a couple more options than going like a true center, which I think limits playing like Maluach with Jalen Duren out there. So we got Utah at 13. This is from Minnesota. Wow, Minnesota. Lottery pick, right? This is from the Rudy Gobert trade. So I think this is where I'm going to have them go a big man. I think there's a ton of options. I think they would go the higher upside guy in Kaman Maluach. That's way more raw of a prospect as Derek Queen, but you could really see the elite rim protecting potential and a little bit of floor spacing, which I think could obviously increase his value a ton as well. Walker Kessler's been in trade talks, and maybe Utah decides to trade him. He's too much of a winning player. We're not going to play him when he's a free agent in a couple years. He'll be a free agent after the end of next year's season. Maybe they're like, we don't want to pay him. We're going to kind of enter into more of a rebuild this offseason, trade away Markkanen, Sexton, those guys. So maybe they go with Kaman Maluach. Because Filipowski, I think, could be a 4. He could space the floor, and I think he's been a productive rookie this year. But I think, like, trying to find that center post Kessler, it gives you a little bit of time to figure out what you have in Maluach. And they got Boogie Fland earlier and Maluach now. I really like that. I do. So we're on the clock here with the Warriors at 14. Yeah, the Warriors picking at 14. I just love that. I don't know what this team needs some offense, but I think like Cam Jones would be a fun pick here because I really like Cam Jones' game. He's a good shooter. He could do basically everything for you out there. He's got good size, but what is Golden State going for right now? Like, they're probably trading this pick, but I think they could use some offense. I do. And I think they would go Ian Jackson, who's like a borderline lottery pick for me right now. He's somebody that I know the assist numbers don't look great, but when you have RJ Davis and you have Elliot Cadeau, guys that are high usage, ball dominant guards, that Ian Jackson becomes more of a secondary guy. He's getting the ball in, like when he's cutting, slashing, play sets are designed for him to shoot the ball. I think that's why his assists are down, basically from what I'm getting when I watch UNC basketball. And I think that's going to be fine, and I think that's something he can improve over time. I don't think he does a ton of things well, but I think he scores the basketball very well, and I think that's what Golden State could use, a higher upside offensive guy. Because, like, their motto over the last couple of years have been complementary guys. Guys that can do a little bit of everything, but maybe not as much score the basketball. Let's get some guys that can score the basketball. So we have San Antonio at 15 via Atlanta. This is a fun pick for them. I think this could be a Colin Murray-Boyles pick. I think this team could look to improve their defense. This could be like a Nolan Traore, take the flyer on him, but they do have another first-round pick, which is theirs, which I think we could target Traore there. I like Ben Seraph, though, who's a wing. I mean, his shot has not been great at Ratio Farm this year, but man, he's got the intangibles, the ball handling, the size to be a good playmaker in this league. So I think we go a little bit higher upside pick in Ben Seraph. I think we may go double international for San Antonio. Indiana at 16. Isn't this pick... No, I was going to say, isn't this pick supposed to go to Toronto, but that's 2026. So I think Indiana here at 16, we don't need to take another wing right now. Yeah, they could maybe use another offensive guy, but I'm going to have them go Derek Queen. Miles Turner's a free agent at the end of the year. Isaiah Jackson is out for the year and is a free agent as well. James Wiseman is out for the year. I think we can go and get some big man depth, something they need, and I think Derek Queen is a very viable option. It worked out with the Maryland center in the past and Jalen Smith. Let's go another one here with Derek Queen. I know they didn't draft Jalen Smith, but they traded for him. So we got San Antonio at 17. I think this is where I take a chance on Nolan Traore. He is falling, man. Like, my way too early mock draft, I think he was 4 or 5, maybe 2. And his shot has been pretty bad at St. Quentin. I know the competition's up. I know he's got good court vision. He's got good size, great ball handling ability. But, man, if he can't hit shots, he's not going to go high. But I think this is the highest I'm going to have him go now, and he's just dropping and dropping. So I'm going to have Nolan Traore go 17 to the San Antonio Spurs. 18, we do have the OKC Thunder. I think we could take a project play, but I also think we could take the eventual Kenrich Williams replacement if they trade him. If eventually when he's a free agent and they can't afford him, Colin Murray-Boyle, somebody that I think could be a similar position. Great rebounder for somebody that of his size. He can go up and get rebounds. He's a sophomore, but one of the best defensive prospects in this draft. We got some shooting before going to OKC, and now we got defense in Colin Murray-Boyles. And these are even their first round picks as they just beat Boston and New York. They're arguably the best team in the league, and they're going up against Cleveland this week as well. 19, the Nets. I like a couple guys here for projects. I would go LeBaron Philon here, but we did have them go point guard already. I had them go Jeremiah Fears earlier, so I think this is Noah Essengay, who has been scoring the ball well, and he's playing on the same team, Rasho Farm, with Ben Seraph, and I think he's a beautiful complementary piece, like cutter, slasher. He does that so well at such a young age, and I think he's going to develop over time, and I think Brooklyn is a good spot where he can develop. So I really like Jeremiah Fears and Essengay there. 20, we got the Orlando Magic. I think they could use some shooting. They could use some scoring. Alex Caravan would make a ton of sense for this team. Is it a little redundant to what they had last year in Tristan da Silva? Not really. I like Nick Clifford a ton out of Colorado State. This man could score the basketball, and they're probably trying to take somebody that isn't a project, that's more NBA ready. So I think you go Cam Jones, or you go Nick Clifford here. Oh, man, I like Cam Jones. I like Cam Jones here, because his shot, maybe not super consistent, but, man, he could do so many things well, and I think he could be a good shooter, and I think could be that eventual KCP replacement, because he's only under contract for 2 more years after this year. Oh, yeah, Cam Jones to Orlando. Let's get that, man. Let's get that. 21, we got Dallas. I would like for them to go some offense off the bench, and I think that's where Nick Clifford can come in handy. This man is a bucket at Colorado State. Obviously, the competition is going to go up a notch. I thought he would have been a top 40 pick last year if he went into the draft. He decides not to. He's been great, and I think is helping his draft stock this year. 22, we have the Atlanta Hawks via the LA Lakers. Hugo Gonzalez kind of fits their mold. I think a good defensive prospect, but can't really score the ball. I don't know if Will Riley's going to be in this draft. I think they could go for some consistent shooting in Alex Caravan. Rasheer Fleming, though, I do like a ton. Athletic, can put the ball in the hoop, put the ball on the ground. Great rebounder, man. Him at St. Joe's this year. I didn't know anything about him. I really didn't. And this year he's playing like a true first-round pick. And I think brings another defensive-minded forward that could space the floor and that could rebound over there in Atlanta and build what they're trying to do. So at 23, we have the Thunder again. This is via the LA Clippers. I think a lot of people thought this could have been a nice lottery pick going into the year. So we went defense in Colin Murray-Boyles. We went some shooting in Con Knipple earlier. I'm going to go a little bit more project play in Hugo Gonzalez. I don't know if he's going to be a good scorer or a good shooter, but I think he's got really good defensive potential and a little bit of playmaking potential over at Real Madrid. So at 24, we have the Magic again. This is via Denver. Let's get some shooting. I thought about Alex Caravan a couple picks earlier. Let's go Alex Caravan here, who is a good shooter at UConn. I think he's a very big system guy, though. I think he needs to thrive in plays that are designated for him, pick and pops as well. And I think there could be some fun two-man games between him and Da Silva, or Caravan and Franz and Paolo, and obviously Suggs going forward. So, yeah, we're going to have Caravan go to Orlando, their second first-round pick. We have Memphis at 25. I'm just going to have Will Riley go here. I have no idea if he's going to be in this draft, but I think he's a fun project player. And for Memphis, I mean, who knows? Maybe they trade for Jimmy Butler and they do some type of 4-for-2 swap and they kind of kill their depth a little bit, but they have so much depth right now. And I think Will Riley could be a nice project guy. We'll spend some time in the G League, but I think could take a Jake LaRavia route and is definitely, I think, a more intriguing prospect than he was. So we got Brooklyn at 26. We ended up going Jeremiah Fears and Noah Essengay. Some guys I do like here. LeBaron Philon. I mean, Dink Pate, I think, provides some interesting potential. Janai Brew, Mackenzie McBako, I like. Donnie Freeman. Danny Wolf has been a fun Michigan guy as of late, but I think he wouldn't be my next. Like, I have him and Thomas Sorber kind of in that second tier of big man right now. I'm going to go Dink Pate. He's been a good scorer, good defender this year in the G League at Mexico City. I'm going to butcher it. So yeah, the Mexico City G League team. And I think he's actually going to be playing himself into a first round pick the way he's been playing. We have Brooklyn again, 27. I'm going to have them go center. Maybe they trade Claxton. Maybe they trade Day'Ron Sharpe, who I believe is a free agent at the end of the year with Cam Thomas. I'm going to have them go big man. I like Thomas Sorber a little bit out of Georgetown. I think he could be a good bruiser inside and maybe could be a similar player to Day'Ron Sharpe over time. 28, we have Boston. Some really fun options here. And I think I like Janai Broome, but I also like Danny Wolf. And this guy just screams Boston Celtic. I don't know if I'm just going the stereotypical white route. But yeah, they drafted Shireman, an older guy last year. Wolf's an older guy this year, but he's a good rebounder. He plays the 4 this year because Vlad Golden's the 5, and he's obviously taller than Danny Wolf. But Danny Wolf does not look clunky out there. He's a good ball handler and a very good playmaker. And if he could be a good shooter at the NBA level, man, he could fit that Boston Celtics offense like a glove. Clippers at 29. I'd like to go somebody NBA ready. And that is an easy one for me. That is Janai Broome, who could honestly win the Naismith this year. The best player in college basketball. Great inside scorer. Not as much as a floor spacer as you would like, but I think this is so much better than what they tried to do a couple years ago with Kobe Brown. And he's somebody that can help them next year while their window isn't as open as we think it is, with Harden and Kawhi getting older. But I think that could be a good pick. And at 30, we're going to have the Utah Jazz. We're going to have them take, I think still, maybe I go LeBaron Finally, just get another point guard. Jace Richardson, I don't know if he's going to declare in this draft, but I think I'd rather get them a wing. Adu Tiaro, I think, could be the pick here, out of Arkansas. Has been, I think, the second best guy there, better than John L. Davis, which has been kind of disappointing. So that's the first round so far. Hope if you guys are listening on audio, you were able to follow along. The second round, we are about to get into in a quick second. Oh, look at that. The Boston Celtics are going to also have the 31st pick in this draft as well. So then we can get kind of creative with these picks. Like getting Danny Wolf at 28 is pretty interesting. Then you're just kind of looking at some of these guys here, and they can kind of take a little bit more of a developmental guy. Like I like the chance on Rocco Zikarsky, what he could be as a rim protector for this team at 31. Like, I think going into the year, he was like, I was debating him or come on now, he watches my center too. And he hasn't really gotten a lot of runtime in the NBL, similar to like Alex Sarr last year, definitely less athletic. Like even Ryan Kalkbrenner could be the guy. But I did go Danny Wolf earlier. Maybe I go for somebody with a little bit more scoring upside, and that's Jace Richardson, who hasn't played a ton this year, son of Jason Richardson. And at Michigan State, really good shooter, but he's just, I think, coming off the bench for most of the season, and maybe he's going to be more of a 2-year guy. 32nd pick, we have the Charlotte Hornets. I think we can have a lot of fun with this pick as well. JT Toppin, just a little bit more NBA ready. Earlier, we went VJ Edgecombe prioritizing defense. I don't mind Donnie Freeman, who I think has had some good games this year for the Syracuse Orange. There's Jalan Lowe out of Pittsburgh. That's a fun player. Ryan Kalkbrenner, if they want to get another center, if they move Nick Richards. But Mark Williams has looked good since he's came back from injury. So let's go with a guy with some scoring upside. Let's go Mackenzie Mgbako, who I think is very fun to watch in Indiana this year. And I think he could be a fringe first-round talent, maybe a little bit more inconsistent. And hey, we got back-to-back picks in the second round with Charlotte. I think this could also be a little bit more of another wing, like Kenan Catchings from BYU. Why not? Get some more scoring upside there. He's probably hurt his draft stock a little bit this year, but I think could still be a fun prospect going forward. At 34, this is where I would like Rocco Zikarsky to go to the Detroit Pistons, because he's a little bit more of a project play, but they do have Jalen Duren at least for one more year. You also have Isaiah Stewart, and I think they could take a chance on the 7-2 guy that could be a very good rim protector down the line. 35, we got Minnesota. I think this is where we could have LeBaron Philon go. Probably a little bit later than where he should. I think he's more of a top 30 guy than a top 35 guy. But the way that this draft is falling, he just fell in this mock. He goes to Minnesota at 35. We know Mike Conley's going to be retiring very soon. They drafted Rob Dillingham, but we can get more guards in that backcourt for sure, as they're going to be an interesting team. Who knows? They may involve this second-round pick in a trade soon if they make a trade at the deadline. I don't know if he's going to go in the draft, but I like the defensive upside in Drake Powell out of UNC going to Toronto. It seems like that's what they've been doing in the second round. At least they did that last year with Chomsky and his defensive upside. They did that with Jamal Shed and Jonathan Mogul, obviously. So we're going to continue that trend with Drake Powell. I like Carter Bryant, who has strung some good games as of late for the Brooklyn Nets. I think you're just looking at these rebuilding teams, and we're just going with higher upside guys here in the second round. And the Nets in this draft, I mean, it's been a fun class for them. Like, we drafted at 9, Jeremiah Fears. We drafted Dink Pate at 26. We drafted Noah Essegate at 19. They have so many picks. We drafted Thomas Sorber, who I'm starting to like, out of Georgetown. And then we just grabbed Carter Bryant there at 37. I've also, like, if you guys are on video, This would be in the past, like they would just have 2 rows for the draft board so far. Now, Fanspo has 3 rows. We'll see if that ends up going to 4 or something like that. Probably going to stay at 3. Dallas at 38. We took Nick Clifford earlier. Offense. Let's go some defense. Let's go KJ Lewis. Maybe not as efficient as a scorer as Nick Clifford, but provide some good defensive upside. 39 Washington. There's some guys I do like. I think this is kind of low for JT Toppin. I probably should have had him go a little bit earlier, but he's been one of the best offensive talents at Texas Tech this year. New Mexico transfer. He's been a beast. He could have been a second rounder last year. I think has helped his draft stock this year. I definitely like Donnie Freeman to the Spurs here. Let's just get a little bit more size inside. A very good rebounder for somebody at 6'9". Chicago at 41. We could probably have some fun with this pick. They could use some shooting too. If Levine's not on this team, that could be Peyton Sanford, Tucker DeVry, shout out Drake, Jawan Lowe. But I know I took them Kasper Shakushanis before. Let's go Kalkbrenner. Yeah. Maybe like got off to an insane start this year. I think he had 48 points in his first game of the year, but it's cooled off a little bit since. Creighton maybe not hitting their expectations, but I think could be a nice rim protector that you can take a chance on in the second round. He's a senior, and they need some center depth. So at 42, we have the Wizards again. We got Trey Johnson and JT Toppin. I like Xavier Lee out of Princeton. Fun. Very fun offensive talent. High energy. Good playmaker. Good size, too, at 6'4". Let's take him in the second round. 43, we have the Pacers. We took Derek Queen all the way back at 16. Easy pick for me here, Hunter Salas. Still a fun combo guard. I thought he was a fringe first rounder last year. Still think he's a fringe first rounder this year. And he's strung up some nice games as of late. 44, we have the Thunder. They could just go so many options here. There's the high upside pick in Michael Ruzic out of Croatia. I know he was like projected to be a first round pick. Incredible size, like 6'10", can handle the rock, but very skinny. Kind of needs to put up more strength inside. But we're going to go with Michael Ruzic there to the Thunder because they could just throw him in the G League. We got Atlanta at 45. They're not getting that Kings pick in this draft because I think that's top 12 protected. And we took it at 2, but I love Rasheer Fleming to Atlanta at 22. That's one of my favorite picks here so far. Noah Penda's an interesting guy out of France. Did we just take another French guy? Why not? Noah Penda, I've only seen a handful of games of him so far. I got to dive more into like the second round international film guys. But he could be a fun talent. 46, the Spurs. These are guys that I think I have to watch a little bit more of this year, that we're getting into like this part of the draft. But there's some guys that I definitely still like Jawan Lowe, I think is an easy pick here going to the Spurs. Maybe, I think just has too much like on his back this year at Pittsburgh, trying to carry this team in a weird ACC conference. We're at 47 with Washington. We got Trey Johnson, we got JT Toppin, Xavier Lee. Let's get some shooting in Washington, right? Tucker DeVry, maybe. Peyton Sanford could be that guy. I like Jameer Watkins at Florida State, but no, that's been kind of a disastrous season. Milan from Iowa State. Jaleel Bethea, man, how he's kind of fallen off. He's definitely going to be a second-year guy there. There's Alex Tui. I should probably have him go, yeah. Speaking of shooting, people like him in the first round. I got to watch a little bit more of him, but I think that's probably a good range for him. 48, Cleveland. I think we can go with some complimentary play here, but also upside in a way. Don Pettiford from Auburn. I like Jameer Watkins, though. Kind of similar to maybe the Jalen Tyson pick last year, but let's just get some more grown-ups in the room. Obviously, Florida State's got their own issues with their coaches getting sued by a lot of former players. So, yeah, just the way college basketball is nowadays. 49, we got Golden State. We took Ian Jackson back at 14. I kind of like that athletic upside for the offensive guys. So let's go. I haven't really watched too much John Mobley this year out of Ohio State, but he's ranked high. Tyrese Proctor, Isaiah Evans, Igor Milicic from Tennessee. Could be a fun pick. Yeah, let's take him. I think they can go a little bit of a big guy, and he's a solid rebounder. We got the Magic at 50. We got Cam Jones and Alex Caron in the first round. I love that. We can go a little bit more upside here on Isaiah Evans. I think that's a good spot for him. Lakers at 51. Obviously didn't have their first round pick. They could get some shooting in Peyton Sanford. They can get some kind of wing upside in Carter Knox, but he might be a guy that's staying there for another year. Like, it's hard to figure out who's going to be like in this draft right now. But you know who I'm going to take? When I was watching Kasper Shakushanis, I'm like, all right, it was the Oregon game, and it was a great game to watch him. But I was like, I'm going to lock into Kasperis. This Ben, I'm going to butcher his last name because I wasn't listening with sound on for the game, and I actually don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm not going to say it. It's Ben, number 3 on Illinois. Very fun offensive talent. He like popped out on my screen. I'm going to learn his name after I stop recording this. But he's a senior, great ball handler, fantastic transition runner. He has struggled with the shot this year. But man, let's take a flyer on him to the Lakers there in the second round. And then we have back-to-back Lakers picks, so we could take somebody at 52. Let's take Tyrese Proctor. Got off to a good start, has cooled off a little bit, but great size, could be a combo guard for the Lakers. 53, Dallas, we've got Nick Clifford at 21, and KJ Lewis at 38. A little bit of offense, a little bit of defense. I think in the second round, we could take some higher upside guys too. Caleb Love. Coleman Hawkins has been a disaster this year for Kansas State. I thought Elliot Cadeau was going to be good this year. I don't mind Grant Nelson. 6'11", can shoot the ball. Let's go Grant Nelson out of Alabama. 54, Charlotte. We've gotten VJ Edgecombe, Mackenzie Mbako, Cannon Catchings, Kwame Evans Jr., Kobe Brea. I should have it going higher because he's going to be ranked higher in my top 30 prospects. Knockdown shooter. He's got to go higher than this. Why is no ceilings got him all the way down here, man? He's got to be higher on their big board. For sure. He's been great this year for Kentucky. Kentucky's been a fun team to watch. I like Jalen Stewart to the Knicks there at 55. Damn. As a Knicks fan, I think he's got upside as a defender. And that's why I'm going to have him go there. As a Knicks fan, though, it's been kind of disappointing just the way this draft is going to be because they don't have their first round pick. They barely have any seconds. I like the Knicks. I like the draft. I like to combine the two. We got Memphis at 56. They got Will Riley 25. Darion Reed here. Definitely some upside. And I think could use a little bit of time and development. The Knicks have forfeited their 57th pick. I believe this is from the Jalen Brunson tampering. So let's go somebody that will probably not be a second round pick. Even though Walter Clayton. Wow, why do they have Yaxel Lendenberg so far down? Where's Ivanovic Visic? I'll take Sion James, who I don't even know would be a first round pick right now. But these are guys that I like. Let's go Walton Clayton Jr., who's been a bucket for Florida this year. They've been one of the better teams in the country. I guess he's a little undersized. Let's go Yaxel here to the Rockets. We got Lee McNeely at 11. They're picking at 59. Yeah, well, Axel Lendenberg from UAB has been great this year. And then the last pick, Ivanovic Visic, and then there's Visic's brother at Illinois. Do they not even have him ranked? Oh, wow, that's kind of shocking. Who we got here? Can we take a big Cleveland? Yeah, why not? Let's get Ivanovic Visic, who can space the floor. And then there's the Visic over in Illinois as well. So that is a 2-round mock draft. That is fun. And there's some definitely guys there that I'm going to dive deep into more. But I'm starting to be familiar with guys that I didn't even know much about preseason, like Rasheer Fleming at St. Joe's, Thomas Sorber at Georgetown. Danny Wolf was definitely not on my radar. Jace Richardson, the incoming freshman. And then some guys have fallen, LeBaron Philon. Obviously, Jeremiah Fears has been a bucket this year. It's going to be a very fun draft. Like last year, I had a lot of fun with it. This year, I think I'm going to have even more fun with it with how deep it is. So I hope you guys did enjoy this on YouTube. If you did, I'd appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. If you joined it on the podcast platforms, appreciate you hitting that follow button, rate and review the pod, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.